in, stay out. No need to be back every once in a while. Yeah, saw him last week. I'm out now. I've been out for 4 weeks. So what? You going back? So you ain't holding stay. That's a good thing. And don't even be looking back towards it and wishing, man, they didn't have that when I was out there. I wish they would have. Oh, shut up. You out, keep your, I don't care what they invent. You keep yourself out of there, because it's going to be harder the next time they try to get out. You out, stay out. I don't care how good it look. Stay out. Keep your hands off of that. Because they going to invent something. That's what I just got up saying. They done invented so much stuff. If you want to try it, no, don't do it. I used to work them crossword puzzles. Was that what I was working, Mary? The Lord told me to quit. I think it was crossword puzzle. I did them so much till he gave her to tell me to quit. And I ain't done them no more. It's probably been over a year. I just quit right then, just broke right off. Some people just have to gradually break off from something, but it's good if you can break off. If you can just break it and don't look back. But it says, stand fast in the liberty where Christ has made you free. He was the one that did it. It wasn't going to these meetings. They have meetings where we're going to meet up at 8 o'clock every Wednesday, and we're going to talk about how we didn't do it no more and whatever it was. We did this. But Christ don't have to give you no gradually coming off of something. But it says when you come off, though, you stay off of it. Second verse said, behold, I say unto you, I, Paul. See, Paul is the one, he wrote, they tell me they gave him the credit for writing the book of Galatians and a whole bunch of them he wrote. He get the credit. I don't know if he did it or not, but we reading it here. He said, behold, I, Paul, say unto you, that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Now, back, I say in the day, I was probably a baby. Back then, the law, the government, the doctors, the whatever business it was, you had to do it by the law, or you got to go somewhere else and find it a cheaper way or easier or whatever kind of way it was. And there wasn't too many offerings. Like I said, all this dope and stuff they got now, you could use both hands and you ain't counted all the stuff. You can use your toes too. They still got some more stuff you ain't even heard of. But in that day, I said that day, it wasn't too many ways to get out of stuff like the flu, the pneumonia. And they didn't have a lot of ways to get out of stuff. But I remember it was my brother had hay fever, and to go to the doctor and get his, what they call that thing, they write you out what to do. I forget y'all know what I'm talking about, prescription. You go get what he said to get, you probably won't be able to buy your milk for your baby or whatever, because that medicine is too high that they didn't put you on the prescription. And the doctor told my father, 2 things will get him. It'll be good for him to get off of this. What did he have? Hay fever, yeah. And he said had a medicine to do it, but he told him how much it cost. And there was 9 of us children in our family and 2 parents. That meant there was a lot of us and 1 person working, my father. And it wasn't that much he was getting back in that day. So he didn't want to pay no high expense for goat milk. That's what they said would get him off of that stuff. And he asked him what was the price of that. Oh, back in that day, it was probably $3 a pint. Now you figure that back then, a pack of cigarettes cost about $8 now. Way back then, a jug of milk, a quart of just plain old homogenized cow milk probably wasn't $1, but $1.50. But now they wanted to sell a quart. It wasn't a doctor, it was the pharmacy. You go there and get 1 pint of goat milk for $3. Now, who in the world could buy that when I was a teenager or less than that? You couldn't stand that except you were rich. And the doctor said the other alternative is goat milk. Well, he had a thing he could give him, or this goat milk. And my father talked to him about the goat. This is what a goat costs, or the milk rather. And he said it would be cheaper just to buy the goat instead of going buying the goat milk out of the pharmacy. So we become instant goat farmers. My father he went and bought some goats. And since my brother had the hay fever, all of us drank goat milk like he was trying to keep us from getting the hay fever. We had to drink it anyhow, and it tasted funny. Had a kind of a bitterness with that goat milk. But it was good. It was good for hay fever. It was good for other stuff. But I know we had goat milk. Them goats was bad, too. They was bad. We children didn't milk them. My mother, she milked the goats because she come from down south, in the Mississippi, Greenwood, Mississippi, used to milking cows and all that kind of stuff. So she was the instant goat milker. And we had that goats. I tell you something. This ain't the lesson, but I'm gonna just tell it anyway. Them goats, y'all might want to look up on goats after this. This goat we had, the mother, we named him. We named her Brown, cause she was brown. And then she had a baby. We named her Peggy. But now we had a neighbor live across the street, and I think it was her granddaughter named Peggy. So we didn't want to call that baby goat too loud. Come here, Peggy, because the neighbors over there, we didn't want to make her think we were bothering with her granddaughter. So the doctor, they told, now I'm going to get back on them goats. The doctor said it was some certain food that could feed the mother goat, and she produced more milk. And my father he bought some of that stuff and feeding the goat, old mama goat, and then the baby goat, she getting all she could get, and there was some left over, and my mother started milking the goat, and we was getting free goat milk, And get back on these goats now. The Peggy, anyway, she was the firstborn, and I think she did something she had no business, ate some old food that they gave the mother goat to produce more food, and she got in on that. She knows she wasn't no mother. She was young. But she ate that drank that goat milk, ate the hay or whatever, I didn't forget. Grain, I think it was grain. She swelled up, and she kicked the bucket. Oh, Peggy, she couldn't last. She wasn't the age of bearing. That was mothers bearing children. Anyway, we had them. I done got on these goats. I don't know how I got on that. I was going to say something about this Bible. Let's see. Let me read the second verse again. Maybe it'll come back to me. Behold, I, Paul, say unto you that if ye be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Now, I don't want to get all deep in this circumcised, but just like Stan had more than one reading, under definition, it didn't mean to just stand up and look, but it also meant hold fast and don't move, don't go out, like in the color fast clothing. That means it didn't bleed away. If it's blue, it's going to stay blue because it's color fast. So back here to this, it said that if ye be circumcised. So that word got more than one meaning also. And some of us old folks might know what that meant. But here it was cleaning up, taking away some dirt that didn't need to be there. And also, without that, it was against the law. Some things had to be done, or you were not permitted to do such and such. You were not, what's the word I want to do? Let's see. You wasn't qualified. I guess that'll work. You wasn't qualified. If you didn't have your so-and-so on with you, you couldn't get in. You understand that? Everybody's supposed to wear a badge or so-and-so. When you come to the door, you can't get in. Well, you understand that. It's kind of like a qualification. You must do this first to do the other. And if the goat was not circumcised, then it was one of those unqualification situations there. So the offer a goat upon the altar, it had to be a circumcised goat, or it wouldn't fit. We ain't gonna be putting no nasty half-done goat up there for offering. It ain't fit to be offered. It got to be perfect. So here it said, Paul said, I say unto you that if ye be circumcised, that meant all of your sin, all of your stuff that's not right, is not clean enough, all your unholy stuff. And Paul's saying, if you be like that, if you be circumcised, Christ shall profit you nothing. So just taking a bath, getting all clean, that ain't gonna help altogether. You're gonna have to be clean inside. Just because you took a bath, that don't mean nothing. You're still a murderer. You're just a clean murderer. That's all. You bathe real good, clean and smelling good, and kill anybody. So this said, Christ shall profit you nothing just because you didn't bathe your body or got a piece of skin cut off or whatever. For I testify again to every man that is circumcised. You see, that just said every man. Notice that, all y'all women, y'all take note to that. I testify again to every man that is circumcised that he is a debtor to do the whole law. Now, he was qualified if he was circumcised. They could even offer him. Your offering is fit to offer. But then, if you are categorized like that, you're good enough to be offered, then it say you're a debtor to the whole law. Then you ain't gonna do just walk around grinning because you're circumcised. Circumcision takes qualification with it. You got to do something when you are fit for that. It said then, he that is circumcised, that he is a debtor to do the whole law. If he's fit to do this, when Moses took his son up there on the mountain to offer him, he did more than just be circumcised. He got to be more than that. He is a debtor to do the whole law. Christ is become of none effect unto you, whosoever you are justified by the law. You are fallen from grace. So you can't keep on saying, Moses said, or back in the day when Pharaoh was chasing the saints of God, way back there, what was right then, don't make it be right now. It just said, Christ has become of no effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified by the law. Christ came and died on the cross, and overrode the natural law. All you had to do, perhaps, was, like I said, bring a clean calf, clean, spotless. But after Christ died, then you had to do more than bring a cow. You had to have your heart clean. So it says, Christ has become of no effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified by the law. You're going to tell me I'm allowed to come in because I took a bath. Well, I don't care about that. You took a bath. This sign said, take a bath, brush your stinking teeth, gargle your throat, wash in between your toes, and do something. See, the law changed now. You was okay to get in just because you got your badge on. But now, this is a new day. He said here, Christ is become of none effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified by the law. You're going to because we used to come in with a badge. That's what's justifying you. You got a right to come in. Don't let that make you, or you shouldn't still be thinking that way anyhow, because the law, it can't do nothing in Christ and come off the cross. We're through with the law now. You got to have had Christ. He's the offering. not you subject yourself to the mountain, killing a goat and all that kind of stuff. It's that Christ is become of no effect unto you, whosoever of you are justified. See, somebody's still going by the old law. They justified by keeping the law. It says some of you are justified by the law. Ye are fallen from grace. Ain't no need of you thinking about I'm saved. Grace ain't nowhere near you because you're going by the Old Testament, the old law. That's what you walking by. And it's doing you, it's none effect. That's what the verse said there. And you are fallen from grace. And grace, my understanding, is nothing you got to pay for, but it's free. Grace is free. You can't buy it. There ain't enough money in what that man's rich man name, Rockefeller. There ain't enough money in his bank to pay for this. You see, you are fallen from grace, and grace is a freely given thing. You can't buy that. You can't buy it. What this other man here got all this money. They been trying him for the longest. Was the president. Trump. He ain't got enough millions of dollars to buy grace. It said, for we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. See, we back to the word faith. And up above it says stand fast. The first verse says stand fast. And down here it said, for we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. Faith is not works. That's not faith. Material is not faith. You can't buy it. But it says, for we through the Spirit work or wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. Through the Spirit. So that puts you in another place. If you better get the Spirit then. You need the Spirit. So you just can't go by the law. The law didn't have the Spirit back there. They didn't have it. So now this is done by the Spirit. It says, for we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. So you got to have the faith. You can't lose that. You got to keep that. It's just going to on a job. You got to first learn this. And 3 weeks of doing that, we're going to put you on so-and-so. You just gradually keep on doing more and more stuff. You got to do that. But here it said, we through the Spirit wait for the hope of righteousness by faith. You can't buy this. You can't do that. Righteousness, you can't buy it. For in Jesus Christ neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision. Now, uncircumcision simply means not circumcised. And circumcised stood for cleanliness back under the law. In this verse is saying whether you be clean or unclean. It says circumcised or uncircumcised. Circumcision or uncircumcision. They both, neither one of them mean a thing. It don't mean nothing to take your goat up on the mountain and wash him with Clorox and all the detergent you can get. It still ain't enough. It's not worth anything to God. He don't care about that. And if you didn't wash your goat on the mountain, it still don't mean nothing. Neither one of them to him. So it said, for in Jesus, that's why, in him is where our faith should be. Not with a goat, clean goat, either one. He ain't accepting it anyway. He ain't accepting it. He don't care nothing about no goat. We're through with goats now. We're dealing with faith. He says, so, for in Jesus Christ neither circumcision availeth anything, nor uncircumcision. Neither one of them no good in his law. But faith, then we're back to that again. You got to have the faith in the place of those things, natural things. It said, but faith which worketh by love. That's what you got to have, that faith that worked by love. Ye did run well. Who did hinder you that ye should not obey the truth? So it was some folks there. This is Paul now. He's telling how to stand, and then he's asking the question. First he said, you stand fast in the liberty where Christ had made you free. And then don't be entangled again with the yoke of bondage. Now down here in the 7th verse, he said, ye did run well. Who did hinder you, that ye should not obey the truth? Now, if you got hindered, he said, who did it? You're supposed to obey the truth. He said, you ran well, but who hindered you, that ye should not obey the truth? You can get on the job sometime. People tell you, oh, you ain't got to do all of that. I wouldn't do that myself. If I was you, I wouldn't do it. At our church, we don't do so. I don't care about your church. Y'all probably ain't got no sense over there no way. But they say, this verse said, who hindered you? You ran well. Looked like every Sunday you was there, clap loud than anybody, bust a hole in the tambourine and all, and run all over. You see, you ran well, but who hindered you? Did nobody stop you from getting on your knees and praying or fasting? You did some good work. But who hindered you? Who persuaded you? Who persuaded cometh not of him that calleth you? This persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. Not, Jesus didn't say do this. He's the one that called you, said, so this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. He didn't persuade you not to do what's right. He said you ran well, but who should not, wait a minute, I'm reading. You did run well. Who did hinder you? So now Christ down here, Paul is asking the question, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. So up above, who persuaded you? That's what it amounts to. Who caused you to come off? He said you ran well, but who hindered you? I believe that was in this. Yeah, that you should not obey the truth. Who stopped you from doing that? And then he turned around and said, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. Jesus didn't tell you to start going back drinking whiskey. He said you ran well, but who was the one that persuaded you and hindered you from doing what was right? And they said, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. Christ called you to come out of sin, come out of darkness into this marvelous light. So he ain't the one that called you or persuaded you to stop living saved. He's not the one. He said, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. So ain't no need of lying on Christ. It didn't come of him. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Now, y'all children, what is leaven? Y'all know what that means. That don't mean it come just before 12. Leaven. You know how Negroes talk, leaven. 11 and all that kind of stuff. But it said here, a little leaven. Raise your hand if you think you know what that means. All right, Mother Ringo, see y'all teenagers won't say it. She said, go ahead and tell it. Okay. Anybody know another definition? See, y'all didn't know that, did you? Leaven. Okay. It say a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So what do that mean then? Anybody? She just said what it do. Then it said a little leaven the whole lump. Leaveneth the whole lump. What do you think that means? Anybody? Nobody. We're going to make the church mother answer all these questions. All right, come on. What you think that means? Leaveneth. It said, a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. Add that whole lump in there. What you think that means? Everything, she said. It leaveneth the whole thing. A little bit. What is that stuff? Do yeast, it might be yeast I'm thinking about. Is that the way yeast work? All right, see, I don't cook, but I think I heard that. Just get a little in it and mess around it, and you have the whole thing leavened just from a little. That's what it say. A little leaven leaveneth the whole thing. It's almost like saying you put a little salt in there, the whole thing's salty. So it just don't get a little bit salty over in the corner. The whole thing is messed up. See, you get leavened with sin, you just sin a little bit. That's what it says, just a little bit. And then it leaveneth the whole thing. So you miss, instead of just stealing a marble, you could have just killed somebody. You both of those things is sin. So a little, you could just steal one bottle of whiskey, or just go get you a crate of it. Either way, you in sin anyhow. If you only killed one man instead of 1,000, you're a sinner. So one little bit of leaveneth the whole lump. You may as well just be guilty of the whole thing. I have confidence in you through the Lord, that ye will be none otherwise minded. This is still Paul now. Paul's talking to these Galatians, and this is the way he wants them to be, and he's saying how he feel about them. He said, I have confidence. Now, when you got confidence in somebody, you'll let them hold the rope, while you sliding down the wall. Somebody else that you didn't have confidence in, he might let it go while you sliding down the side, and he just turned loose. So you had your confidence in the wrong one. But Paul said, I have confidence in you through the Lord, that ye will be none otherwise minded. But he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. Ain't nobody getting off. I don't care if you the preacher's son, daughter, you're not getting off the hook. He said, it don't matter who you are. That's what he said, whosoever ye be. That's who he's talking about. And I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision, why do I yet suffer persecution? Because saints they ain't off the hook from getting in trouble. So the folks will rob you and think nothing of it. They'll rob a sinner. Pull that same pistol on it and give me all your money. Saint, give it all your money, sinner. The pistol will kill anybody. So, and our brethren, he said, if I yet preach circumcision. See, he's preaching circumcision. There's another thing. It's done to clean. That's a cleansing, to circumcise. But uncircumcision is to leave off cleansing. That's a thing. It used to be optional when a child was born. The doctors would ask the mother, do you want to circumcise him or not? And it was cleaned. It was a healthy thing to circumcise a child. And if you didn't do it, it was a thing like you could be dirty. Maybe I should put it that way. And not pure clean from birth. And it said, I, brethren, if I yet preach circumcision. He's saying, if he preached that, staying clean, put it that way, why do I yet suffer persecution? He's been clean himself. That's the way he goes. Why should he then be persecuted? Then is the offense of the cross ceased. All right, it said this offense of the cross ceased. I would that they were even cut off which trouble you. Now Paul is getting in there. The Galatians having some trouble, and Paul, he did a lot of visiting. He started churches out, and he would be back to them and see how they're doing coming around. And some he heard about, he'd go over there. Some of the elders, they were down there having a time, and they needed some help. He would go help them in the church, preach to them. And here he's saying, I would that they were cut off, which trouble you. He didn't say he wished somebody would shoot him with a machine gun. He didn't say he wished they would get killed. He just said, I would. That would mean I desire, I wished. I would that they were even cut off, which troubled you. Cut off don't mean you take a knife and cut their arm off either, y'all young folks. Cut off meaning somebody blocked the path. You coming down this pathway, just say they got a Jeep parked across the path. Now, you're cut off. Which way you going now? Your way is cut off. You can't get through. So he said, I would they were even cut off, which trouble you. Now, they the ones need cutting off. They troublemakers. You need to block them, put a big dump truck right in their road. Because when they come on the other side of that truck, if it wasn't there, they're going to come in there to do some trouble anyway. That's what they come for. So he would that they would be cut off, the ones that trouble you. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. So working under the law is a sin. It don't matter where. I heard somebody say, don't matter who it's in. Sin is a sin, don't matter who it's in. But here it said, for brethren, ye have been called unto liberty. You've been called out of sin. You're free from it. That's what liberty means. You come, they call you out from the sin and called into liberty or unto it. Only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh. Some people say, I'm saved, so I'm allowed to do what I want to. No, you don't. Being saved or free from sin don't make you have a right to do what you want to do. Some foremen on the I ain't gonna say garden, out in the field, big gardens, big farms. The foreman, perhaps using that title, he tell, get over there, so-and-so, do that. That's back in the day. I don't think they do that now. But he thought he had a right because he was over the farm, like a farm. Your farmer in work now. He was my foreman. He act like a foreman got the right to do thus and so. Kind of like the man in the Bible when his boss left and went out of town and left him in charge. Y'all remember that? And he asked the one, how much you done? This, and he asked the next one, the second one, the third one, and all that. Then when he heard the boss was coming back, he made up a big lie. Give me so-and-so. How much you owe? Okay, I'll tell you, give you that much. You absolutely owe 10, but I'll say, you give me 5. You only owe 5 to start with. He lied to make up a way to clean himself out the way from getting in trouble when his boss came back. He told a bunch of lies, is what he did. But here it says, where we're in verse, what is it? 13, I done lost my place. For brethren, ye have been called unto liberty, only use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. So just because you're liberated from sin, then you don't use that occasion by serve your own flesh, but by love serve one another, he said. Don't you only use not liberty for an occasion. So everything ain't done all the time, but every once in a while you might take an occasion to do this or that. So it said, he's warning you, since you're saved, suppose we use a term like that. You've been brought out of sin. You're on this good side. Stick with them that will train you. That's what they told me when I got saved. Stick with some of these brethren that's kind of saved. You think they really saved, that kind of know the church. Stick with them, and they kind of lead you the right way. Only don't use your liberty. See, you done got saved, come out to sin. Don't use it for an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. You're not against them. You do it by love. For all the law is fulfilled in one word, even in this. thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. All right. And then it said, well, you do that. If you love your neighbor like you love yourself, you're not going to take a gun and stick at your own neck and say, give me all your money. You're not going to do it. So it say you do the same thing for your neighbor. It said, for even this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. But if ye bite and devour one another, take heed that ye be not consumed one of another. That's if you bite and devour one another, you take heed, watch yourself. The same thing just liable to happen to you that you're putting off on somebody else. It's so you take heed, mean watch carefully. Be careful how you do. Be careful how you do stuff, because it might come back on you. It say, but if ye bite, it don't mean stick your fingers out and let me bite them. It don't mean that. But he say, this I say then, walk in the Spirit. That don't mean, they call alcohol spirit too. There's a spirit, and they spirit, but it don't mean walk in that. It said, this I say then, walk in the Spirit. Somebody in the Spirit of the Lord. That's the way you walk. Walk in that. The way the Spirit of the Lord would have you walk. He wouldn't tell you to go over there and shoot him or stick your foot out while he's walking down the aisle and trip him. You walk after the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So if you don't go when that devil come to you, I think you ought to take a little taste of that whiskey. I heard of them cooking fruit cakes, and they put a little bourbon in there, and it make the cake taste a certain way or another. But it said, don't you take occasion. All right. Let me see. I keep losing my spot. I'm on verse 16, I think. This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. If you walk after the Spirit, now somebody said, man, the Bible said walk after the Spirit. That's what whiskey is, the spirits. And you would just want to look upside the head. Look, you might want to call him a Negro. Look, Negro, it is not talking about tasting a little of the spirits. But it say, and ye shall not fulfill the lust. Lust mean you don't just, and if I had some of that, I think I would. No. If you lust, you do more than that. Man, I can't hardly wait. I just want to get some of that whiskey so bad. Man, I ain't had none since last week. You're lusting everywhere you go. You following them up. They got whiskey in their pocket, and you ain't going to stop until you get them in a corner somewhere and ask them, can I have a little? I saw you drinking that. Because you're lusting. And it say, you shouldn't do that. And it said, this I say then. He's telling them how to live. Walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. So if you stay walking in the Spirit ain't going to tell you to go over there and slap somebody crazy. See, you got to walk in the Spirit. Then you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit. The flesh ain't never wanted, man, why don't we get saved? No, the flesh wouldn't do it. Because it lusts against the Spirit. And the Spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to another, so that ye cannot do the things that you would. You would have went to Sunday school, but the flesh said, no, I don't think so. We ought to go somewhere else, out to the park. It said, so you cannot do the things that you would do. I was brought up going to Sunday school every Sunday. But here, the flesh is lusting against the Spirit. So you're going to obey one of them. You're going to do what one of them say. But it say you can't do the things that you would. You would do them, but you can't now. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. So it's a good thing to just be led of the Spirit. But then you can't do that except you get the Spirit to lead you. You need that. And that's why we say, we used to get on the altar and tarry. That was the word they used. Tarry don't mean to wait. That's what that word means. Sometimes we think tarry mean this, do. But, I mean, that's some things you do while you're tarrying. But the word tarry itself means wait. And they used to say, wait on the Lord, wait on him. And you can clap while you're waiting. But wait, that was the thing. They put that in there. Don't rush him, you wait. Some people outrun you, and you're the one giving the instruction. There was a man in the Bible did that very thing, and I cannot think of where that was. It was in the Old Testament, and there was a battle going on, and these people were going. There was a leader telling them where it was at, and they had one in the group. He just ran. He was eager to run, and he outran everybody. We all headed down there, a group, an army, and he gonna get out in the front and outrun everybody. And he went on down there, and they killed him before the rest of them could get there. Now, probably don't nobody remember that but me. I can't think of his name. But he ran. And I think earlier here it said, who did hinder you? You ran well. But this man, he ran, he was out of his place. I just put it like that. Now, let's see, what verse? I done lost it again. Verse 17, was that it? No, verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. So the law was good, but you can't get into heaven just by being under the law. You got to come out from among them, be separate. You got some still under the law. They live under it. Their church is under the law. That's what they believe and nothing else. So by the Spirit, we're supposed to get caught up on the cloud with Christ. Got to have the Spirit. So where the law at? It's not in effect. So I would rather have the Spirit myself. I would rather be trying to get filled with the Spirit of God and not the law of the Bible. It's good to know what the Bible said, but it's better to have that Spirit, that Holy Ghost in you, because that law is not going to get you off of this earth, up in the sky on a cloud with Jesus and his angels. The law will not put you up there. You're going to have the Spirit to get there. And the other thing, you're going to be in the wrong when you come up for the judging. You're going to be wrong. All you had is the law and no Spirit. So the law is not going to get you into heaven. It ain't going to get you in there. It's good to know what it said, what the law said. You could avoid it if you know. If somebody tell you there's a ditch over there, well, it's a good thing you told me, and you don't have to step in it. But that's not what's going to get the prize, because you avoid the ditch. So what? You avoided the ditch, but you was too slow getting up there to the deadline. You still ain't going to win. You missed the ditch, and you still ain't winning because you didn't make it in time. You didn't make it to the deadline. So you still lost. You lost. So the law was good. You missed the ditch. You didn't get your leg broke. Missed that snake was standing right there, and you went around him, but you still didn't get in at the time you should have been in. So you're going to hell just the same. So the book said, the law. But if you be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law. So it's better to get the Spirit and let it lead you so you stay from under that law. Now I think I'm going to quit right about here, because these next 10 verses or so, I don't know, it's 10:9 or whatever. Of course, they just a little bit too much right now, I think. I'm going to leave them alone. Maybe we get an adult Sunday school class or something. We used to have our Sunday school broke up in about 5, was it 4 or 5? Let's see, we had the kindergarten, had the young adults, the old adults. I don't know. I thought it was 4. Anyway, there were things taught in the teenage class. I forgot what number they called that. But they taught stuff there that the kindergarten didn't need to be taught. And they were not taught that. And they were taught things by the kindergarten teacher that fit their age. So I'm going to leave these next few verses alone. Maybe it might come up another time. I'm gonna quit at verse, what was that, 18? I think that was the last verse I read. But if ye be led of the Spirit, that's what we want to do. Be led of the Spirit. Then it say you're not under the law. So we thank God for those few words. And we do thank God for you. Allowed me to get up here and you're attentive. I thank God for you singing. Those that came in and do, how many selections y'all did? 2 of them. I thank God for those 2. Y'all made me feel good singing. I enjoyed those songs myself. So